Hi, my name is Thomas Gibbs with US Franchise Visa, and in this video, we will discuss the franchise Conserva Irrigation with Russ Jump, founder and Brown leader. Recently, Entrepreneur Magazine awarded Conserva Irrigation to be number 30 on the newbie franchise list. And Russ, I believe you guys were just awarded by franchising.com. Was that for innovation?
Yeah, so absolutely. So new innovation, and we just got awarded that. Fortunately, that just hit the internet today, which was great and nice to see that hit the website. But it is for our SES, for our system efficiency score, more specifically, we just got that award, which is nice to be innovators in a first to market play.
Absolutely. Yeah, great. Well, thanks for being on the call. Tell us how the brand gets started. Give us the who, what, when, where of the brand.
Thomas, I appreciate the opportunity and thank you for that. So you're reaching me here in beautiful Minneapolis, Minnesota, right? So the land of 10,000 lakes, and who would ever think that we'd have a shortage of water? And not that we hug every tree, we love our trees here, but we really love our water. And many years back, my business partner, Tom Olson, he and I were actively involved in underground utility construction. So a lot of cable and or phone and or internet right to home type underground utility construction. And consequently, many people thought that we were irrigators. We had equipment that looked like we were irrigation guys, and it wasn't our forte. But we were asked multiple times hey, could you install an irrigation system? To finally one point we said, let's get into that market and let's explore it. And so as quickly as we entered the irrigation space, it was only a few years where we departed it. We felt that there was an industry that was highly commoditized, very fragmented, a lot of mom and pop shops, and really not a lot of thoughtfulness around design and thoughtfulness around implementation and really use of water. And I was very disenchanted with that, and we departed, and I put that on the back shelf. We were fortunate then enough to become part of another franchise, and it was a new franchise called Mosquito Squad, and that one at the time was new to market, and we were interested in how that played out and how to be an industry's first, and in going direct to the homeowner. And we started to really see a lot of value with that. And after 4 years of great success, in fact, still today a franchisee, but 15 years later, but 4 years into it, we decided that, there might be something to franchising, there might be something to consistency of delivery of service, delivery of product, and delivery of messaging to the end user. And we started to explore. We're really, Thomas, we're data guys, right? We're geeks that way. We love data, empirical data more so. There's nothing wrong with anecdotal results, but we really dive into the empirical data. And so we started looking back into irrigation. I thought there's got to be a better way. We took almost a year to start researching in 2010. And by November of 2010, we had enough data, enough questions, enough inquisitions, if you will. And we're very curious about the irrigation space. Why was there never a franchise opportunity in irrigation? And that can be concerning if you are somebody that's looking at investing into a company that's going to franchise, or if you're looking at somebody that wants to be part of that franchise. And it also can be rewarding being first in. I had that experience at our first go around with franchising. So we started to do our research, came into it at, like I said, about a year into it. We went to the Irrigation Association National Show. It was actually right in your backyard. It was in Phoenix, actually, in November of 2010. And we walked in as two kids in a candy store, because a lot of smart irrigation technology, a lot about water conservation, high efficient products was being portrayed, and was this brand new openness to that market. And it just fit. It was one of those things where it felt right at home. It was awesome. It was exciting and thrilling. And we started to dive into a lot of that research that we had done and find the true answers. And then about 8 or 9 months later, we hit the ground, opened up our first base shop here in Minneapolis, and we started to test out, right, proof of concept. And rapidly, it was only within 3 months we had 300 clients, and we knew we were onto something. So it was rapid in how people were viewing our brand.
Russ, did you say 300 clients in 3 months?
Yeah, in less than 90 days, we had 300 clients. And we knew that we were onto something through messaging, and water conservation was something that resonated with people. Professionalism, right? So we really developed our core values in that first 90 days. We didn't know what our core values were, but we found out that it was, number one was professionalism, being great at what you do, being a professional, studying the numbers, understanding what the consumer needed, the end user wanted, and then acting in that way, being innovative, as we just got a very innovative award, as you heard, and many innovative awards throughout the few years that we've been franchising. But being good innovators and having proprietary protocols and field protocols and having good innovative communication tactics, marketing innovatively and invoicing innovatively, and just being great innovators and partnerships through our Site One and through the Toro company and some of our partners. And then also being our third core value of responsibility, being a great steward of a natural resource. That was important to us, and that is our true founding, hence the name Conserva, right? Conservation. And it's all about the right amount of water at the right time. How can we impact that next generation? And so we hit the ground running, as stated, 3 months in, a little over 300 clients established. And that gave us, really, here in the off season in Minnesota, it gave us a sounding board. And many people have used Survey Monkeys and the like, and that's what we utilized. What attracted you to the brand? What's the right marketing message? Why did you depart from your earlier provider? We really started to dive into it, and we did that. And the next year we grew that to a little about 613 clients, and then 918 and 1,250, 1,650, 21, a little over 2,100, 2,500 and beyond over the years. But we did that all the while we were building out a national brand. And in 2014, we thought we have enough proof of concept in a short market, smaller market, but a very successful market here. And so we thought, let's go to other markets. And so we went into Chicago, we went into Northern Ohio, into Manchester, New Hampshire, as we started to go out and repeat and figure out if there's idiosyncrasies of marketing that would be important for us to learn, if there's idiosyncrasies of field protocols and irrigation methods, and we started to test that out. We started moving down the East Coast and getting more and more data. So again, kind of the repeated message, Thomas, is that we're data gatherers, and we're all about proof of concept. And we wanted to make for sure we buttoned this one up exactly the way that it needed to be before we invited additional franchisees in. And just coming up here in June, it'll be 2 years now that we've been franchising, about 86 units sold, and highly, wildly enthusiastic, awesome group of people that just love to be part of something new. And we come really from 4 different backgrounds, which is unique, I think, in franchising. Most of our franchisees, they are, kind of the corporate refugees, people looking for something different. They want to be part of something special, and they're tired of having a thumb on them and somebody telling them what to do, and they want to do something that's unique in the marketplace. And why not with one that's out there actively promoting water conservation and really is a high touch, high service type of franchise. And then others that are in the green industry already, that we find that might be in lighting, or might be in pest control, or might be in some sort of maintenance, residential or lawn maintenance, and they want to add that additional offering to their client base that they've worked so hard to establish, and they do extremely well by bolting on this franchise. And yet there's others that are coming to us that are maybe second in command, that never thought that, they work for whatever, Joe's Irrigation, but their name's not Joe. They won't have that opportunity to become the owner of that brand, and they can step out. In fact, our number one franchisee is that way, who's grown a wildly successful brand in just under 3 years, and has done very, very well with us, stepping out on his own, taking his irrigation experience. And then we have others that are very, very successful in irrigation. Our most recent out of Columbus, Ohio, that over 15 years, he and his wife established an irrigation business, highly successful at about $1.8 million in revenue. and decided that we want to convert our business. So the conversion play, as we call it, they want to convert their business to Conserva Irrigation. And why would they do that? That's what we get asked all the time. Why would somebody leave corporate America? Why would somebody diversify their offering? Why would somebody convert their existing business that they work so hard to become part of Conserva Irrigation? I think the answer, Thomas, lies exactly in that, to become part of Conserva Irrigation. People want to be part of something special. They want to be part of something that's bigger than themselves. They have goals that are far greater than I ever envisioned myself having goals even. They want to be part of something that they can look back on and be proud of how they earned their money. And as we were stating earlier, right, how do you shake your finger at? Darn you for saving the Earth's water. Every irrigation system you come in contact with, right, you save 40 to 60% of that water that your neighbor's wasting. And that's a great thing. And it's exciting. And a lot of the major brands, the Target corporations of the world, right, are stepping up. The McDonald's of the world are stepping up. We've worked on many of the Taco Bells that are out there on the corporate side of things. We're working with Lifetime Fitness. These are high class companies that are making statements to their stakeholders that we believe in sustainability. We believe in renewable earth assets, right? And we want to be good stewards of that as well. And Conserva can come in and we can have an entire group of franchisees be part of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell us a little bit about the corporate accounts you started to talk about there. How does that work? You know, if we became a franchisee, say in Dallas, Houston, Miami, wherever it might be, are we going to get corporate accounts, within a few months? Do we need to go prospect for those, or are there contracts that are already in place? How's all that look?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yes, in fact, we at the corporate level, right, at Conserva's home office level, we have a team that's specifically a national accounts team that specifically is massaging and cultivating those relationships. That's a long-term play. That's a pretty significant sale. However, we have proprietary methods, we have proprietary algorithms that many of these companies are learning about. And at the very start of it, we took a chance and we had an opportunity, right? So Conserva founded here locally in Minnesota, right? And Target Corporation founded here locally in Minnesota. And Toro Corporation, right? The Toro company founded right here in Minnesota. And I took a play a number of years ago, and I thought, I'm going to take this opportunity. We went on the 27th floor of the Target headquarters, and we garnered a group of engineers, a group of sustainability folks, a group of exterior services, and we really went through in about 2.5 hours what we envision a relationship of hometown team and why that's important, and how we can bring water conservation, and how we had read in their annual report that sustainability was a big thing to them. And we know the internal secrets that most water is used external to these corporate buildings. Most water is wasted. In fact, 1.5 billion gallons per day in the US alone is wasted in irrigation, not used, just the waste alone is 1.5 billion gallons per day. Wow. And we had a significant call to action. And we said, give us a chance. And they gave us 9 stores. And we saved 1 million gallons per store per season. And that was in Florida. And that turned into many others. Right now, a little over 300 stores that we serviced. Last year, we saved the Target Corporation in excess of 126 million gallons. I mean, this is empirical, chartable data that's real, that we saved the Earth's water. That started to get out to some of these other places like McDonald's Corporation. We're the only irrigation landscape vendor approved by McDonald's USA right out of Chicago. And so it starts to play into others, into Lifetime Fitness is another one that is new to us and coming on board. And we're working with many of these larger big box stores and small footprint stores across the nation. But as a franchisee, the beautiful part of being a part of an organization that's cultivating these relationships, the franchisees, they don't market for it. They don't have to sell it. They don't have to do anything for it other than they have to go through additional training to make for sure that they understand the cultural differences and how we treat our good partners at these at these national brands. And once qualified, all of that business comes your way. It's a repeatable business, and we ask that they be good stewards of that relationship.
You know, that's really impressive, Russ. You know, at US Franchise Visa, we have lots of relationships with franchisors, but I would be pretty hard pressed to say that more than perhaps 10% are going to vouch for national accounts that are basically, you know, you set up shop, you're in the right area, you're going to get business and get accounts. You know, one of the other points that you had said, uh, 86 franchisees in 2 years. That's really strong growth. What do you guys attribute that to, and how have you maintained the quality? Because it's one thing to just grow, but you know, what do you attribute the growth to, and how have you maintained that quality side?
Yeah, those are great questions. I'll start with the maintenance side of it because that's imperative. I think that making for sure that the proper investment is made and the proper support team is in place, that's important to all of us as franchisees. I'm a franchisee at multiple levels as well. That's important to me. As the founder of the company, I'm even a franchisee of Conserva Irrigation. It's important that I've got my hand in the day-to-day actions, and I can get a good sense and go out and I can meet clients and understand the interaction as to what's important to them and becoming and staying relevant in that field. But we, like many franchisees that seek out, I want to be my own boss, I want to have my own business, I want to do something that's great and bigger than myself. Many of us rely upon and choose the franchise route. Others can go out and become their own sole proprietor and start their own thing or whatever. But many of us, as I have many times overseen the value of franchising and as being a franchisee, so wearing that franchisee hat. And just like that, the decision that many of us make, because we want to be successful, we want a proven system, we don't want to waste the majority of our day reinventing the wheel, creating websites, creating CRMs, creating support teams, QBO, all those different types of things. We want to get down to the core competency, and that's selling, and that's nurturing clients and developing and growing a repeatable, saleable asset. We looked at that. There came a time in developing this brand, our baby, right, my baby, and there came an opportunity where we had to decide, how are we going to handle the growth of this company? How can we do it judiciously? How can we do it responsibly? How can we do it in a way that can allow for proper growth and, well, actually no implosion, right? No, where there's collateral damage of some failure. And so we too decided that we would franchise this opportunity where we had proof of concept here at this level, and then through many what we call pilot locations throughout. So throughout the U.S., we thought there's got to be a better way to do it. So we brought it to Outdoor Living Brands. Outdoor Living Brands is our parent corporation that now owns 100% as the sole owner of Outdoor Living Brands, and now I've become an owner of that group as well in exchange. But it was important for us that consistently, year after year, Outdoor Living Brands is ranked top 50 in franchisors, as ranked by franchisees. You can't, that, as you know, Thomas, right? That you can't fudge those numbers. It's your exact 360 ranking, right? How do people view you in your support? And it was important to us to take our baby and deliver it to Outdoor Living Brands. And much like the decision of franchising, why reinvent the wheel? Why reinvent the wheel for being a franchisor? Let's go to the best. Well, we seem to be the best in outdoor services that align beautifully with their brands. Architect, Outdoor Lighting Perspective, Renew Crew, Mosquito Squad, the founding, right, which has been divested most recently, but that was a big part of Outdoor Living Brands, in which I grew up in that as well. And then adding Conserva to that mix. Outdoor Living Brands and Conserva, to me, seem to be a great mix. So they already had the phenomenal support in IT, already had the phenomenal support in the CRM development. We have the same CRM throughout. and the same support teams to help out with customer relationship management. How do we interact with our clients through marketing and through everyday scheduling and through invoicing, et cetera. They already had the teams in place, like I said, for accounting with QBO and all the important aspects of that and reporting both directions. And then also the phenomenal marketing teams, both digital, so inbound digital, external outbound marketing, of course, and then overall strategic leadership of a brand. And so to us, that's the only way we could have supported that rapid growth, is by already leveraging a highly successful, well thought of, and great partner in the franchisor world, and that's Outdoor Living Brands. The other side of it is I would attribute a lot of the success to being first to market. It's a big deal. It's a different thing. It's a different culture when you're first to market. It's a ragtag army of excited people that are enthusiastic. I'm going to step out there. I'm going to do something that's unlike anybody else in the marketplace. I'm going to look back and say, I was part of Conserva. I was part of something bigger than myself. And that's an intangible. We talk about item 19s, we talk about profitability, we talk about all sorts of those great things that are very, very important. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's everything. But what we found is there's some things that, right, in life that you've got something for everyone, right? And people are excited about that and whatever thing that might be. But for some people, Conserva is everything. There's a small differentiation there. But for those that look at the model and they say, never thought I'd be in irrigation. Never thought I would be in the service market. But I always knew I wanted to be my own boss. I always knew I wanted to do something better, bigger than myself, and be part of something special. Never knew what it was going to be. But then when they start to look back on you, say, I want to build something that is saleable. I want to build something that's duplicable, scalable, and repeatable, and it has a recurring revenue, so that I'm not reinventing myself on a one-off sale every single year, that this thing can build. As stated earlier, 300, 600, 900, 12, 15, 1,600 clients, 21, right? Now we're doing at a clip of a company that was doing 1,000 a month. We're doing $1 million a month, $2 million a month collectively. How it can scale upon that, how that can bring down cost of goods through bargaining through that way, how it can bring in national accounts, how we can leverage our national partners through the Toro company. We can leverage also our philanthropic partners through the Weiland Foundation. I mean, all these things start to come together in an amalgamation of a dream of, I want to be part of something special. I want to do something that I can pass along to my kids, or I can make as a saleable asset. And that's ultimately how we've had that great wild success here in the last 24 months.
Wonderful. Yeah, the backbone of most really successful franchisors does come from a parent company, someone that already has a lot established and cuts that what's the word I'm looking for? That bottleneck of growth. It just cuts it right off.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. So I feel it's pretty clear that we understand what Conserva Irrigation is and what the mission is and what the vision is. Talk to us a little bit about revenue, because you've talked to us about the recurring side. How is revenue earned? What are we actually doing? What's the product? What's the service that we deliver?
Ultimately, at the end of the day, these are all great questions. I love these questions, and thank you for those. At the end of the day, in the service industry, what we've become highly proficient at is productizing that service and delivering it. And what I mean by that ultimately is, how can we assemble an experience out of the need that's created in the marketplace? Meaning, what are people needing? We understand that there's 45, 46 million residential irrigation systems already built, highly inefficient, highly ineffective, overgrown, and not and abandoned, quite frankly. We know there's another 22 to 25 million existing commercial irrigation systems, even more so abandoned, poorly built, highly inefficient. And with the marketplace today and the awareness of the sustainability factors and the awareness of the fact that water is becoming more expensive, therefore it becomes more valuable and becomes more coveted. And so ultimately at the end of the day, through all of our surveys, we actually entered the market with conservation as our core competency. Conservation or responsibility was our core value, followed by innovation and professionalism. And what we found is we needed to take that core values and we needed to flip-flop them. Because while sustainability and responsibility and conservation is important, and it is our third core value now, what we're finding is that the homeowner wants professionalism. In fact, we developed kind of a quirky way of looking at things over time. And we decided that we would be really 95% of our competition, if there was, in fact, competition, but we beat 95% of our competition if we just simply answered the phone, relatively most of the time. And it sounds silly. Of course, that's not how we do it. We answer it all the time, promptly, but we had fun with that concept. Answer the phone relatively most of the time. While you answer that phone, be relatively nice most of the time. And then if you'd be so kind as to show up for your appointment relatively on time most of the time. Oh, and while you're there, be nice. It sounds funny, but ultimately, as I look out over my yard here in my home office here today, people want green, lush lawns. They want responsiveness. They want somebody to hear them, their concerns. They want to understand how they cherish their plant material through micro irrigation or through their irrigation of their sod or their plant material through drip. And yet at the end of the day, boy, if you could save me money, if you could be highly efficient, that would make me feel good. And that feel good factor is what's catching fire with our brand. So at the end of the day, we have an army, if you will, of technicians that are highly skilled, highly trained irrigation technicians. But what we've done is in that world, they're called service techs. In our world, within the blue, we call them sales techs. So we spend the lion's share of our time how to cultivate our clients, how to find out how to listen. What are your needs specifically? We know irrigation grandly. We're the best. But in addition to that, how can we help fulfill and get you very satisfied with our service so that this can be a repeatable event? And so really what we've done is, again, productize that through a series of offerings of packages, right? Seasonal packages or year-round packages, depending upon where they are in the US. And then also by offering discounts and rewards for them to be more efficient with their system. And then setting that up, that knowing by nature things below ground that work, well, mainly at night, we don't know when problems arise. And knowing that systems have become antiquated over time and that the earth is not overly friendly to things buried within it, right, and what we do. So knowing that these things need to be serviced year over year, but how can we do that efficiently, effectively, and timely, and give people ultimately at the end of the day what they want: peace of mind, green, lush plant material to whatever level that is, whether it's expansive lawns or when you're part of the earth where that's just beautiful plant work and being very judicious and conscientious of how we disperse that limited resource of water and doing so in that way. And that's really what we do. We've productized that messaging and that delivery. And we have clients that they love it. It's year after year. Come back, come back, come back.
So then with the revenue side of things, we will be servicing these residential and commercial accounts annually. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for keeping me on point there, right? So the reality at the end of the day is that you're building, what I love about a repeatable service model. If you look at our website, right, irrigationfranchise.com is the best way to look at Conserva. You can go to conservairrigation.com, look at our homeowner side of things, residential side of things, where you can click on the franchising site, which ultimately brings you to irrigationfranchise.com. But if you look at that, the Conserva business model, we affectionately call it the Conserva business wheel. It doesn't matter where the client enters the wheel. We're very, very proficient at marketing. And they may come into us because we were marketing both digitally inbound through any of the search engine optimization, of course, that's there available today, and through our awesome website and our webmasters that take care of that. But they might come to us because they have a need for irrigation. They'll go to Google and they'll look up, I need a professional to winterize my system, and we'll show up on blowoutmysprinklers.com, blowoutmysprinkler.com. We'll show up on irrigation or conservairrigation.com. We'll show up through all the local online business directories, right? The Home Advisors, the Angie's List, the Thumbtacks. We win all those awards for being the best of the best. Amazon Home Services. It doesn't matter how they find us, through Google AdWords, et cetera. It gets them in that wheel. And that's where the revenue starts. Or maybe they came in through a free inspection, which is a loss leader, right? Why would we volunteer our efforts to go through a 40-point check system to highlight what's right and what's wrong with that system? It's a loss leader. 87% of those clients we retain, right? They came to us I want to learn more and get a free inspection. We cultivate that and turn that into a lifetime cycle. Or they came to us because they have to upgrade their system, or there's county rebates or city rebates through the water purveyors, or maybe there was an opportunity that they needed to have their anti-siphon device once annually checked. It doesn't matter. However they enter that Conserva wheel, once they're in, that self-cultivates, and that all is a recurring revenue opportunity stream. And then by doing these once annual SES program, system efficiency score, where we're going through that entire system, both electronically and hydraulically, head by head, zone by zone, pointing out the deficiencies, offering opportunities for upgrading and or for becoming more efficient for that system. All of those are revenue opportunities, and they build upon each other year after year. So your client base that you developed in 2019, you're building upon that in 2020 and adding to it, and not starting over, but building upon that in 2021 and 2022. This becomes a rapidly growing asset that you build upon year after year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially with something like that, meaning water, it's going to keep getting used. So certainly the servicing side of it annually is critical. So we've got just a couple of minutes left. What are the general requirements for us to be considered for a franchise?
Yeah, so ultimately at the end of the day, the desire, right? The desire to become part of a franchise network is very, very important. Understand that as you're going into and developing a relationship. Franchising is about, like any business, that there's a lot of, there's contracts and there's things to review, and that's important. But at the end of the day, it's developing a relationship. And we build our franchise or franchisee relationships. We don't take that lightly. We often say within our office that the second that you're grabbing a contract and I'm grabbing a contract to review it, something went sideways. That's not the goal. The goal is to keep that contract while being great about it and making for sure we all understand it, is to keep that in the drawer and review that upon when we're looking to make that asset exchange, or when we're ultimately ready to sell and do something more significant for our family or expand that business for whatever reason. That's what those are for in our brain. So we're really looking for someone that has a desire to partner, a desire to be, again, part of something that's unique and special and wants to be an early adopter in this brand. And ultimately, of course, financial litmus testing that we're going through. We want to make for sure that we're setting them up for success, that they have the wherewithal to qualify financially to invest in our brand, and we can co-share in that, and there's ways to do that. But we want to make for sure that we're setting them up financially to be successful within our brand. And then the due diligence that our team does really in that market before anybody ultimately signs on with Conserva. We're doing all the actual geographic and the marketing research within that marketplace to understand that client base. And then we're relying heavily upon our partners at the Site One Landscape Supply and the Toro Company to understand that the irrigation side of it. And ultimately just that we're going into that to set them up best for success. So there's, as you can imagine, there's a lot of steps that are in place. But then we also have somebody that's set up to help them in that once they're agreeing upon the franchise and that franchise agreement's executed, that we have a success team that's in place that has a pre-training checklist that's rigorous that we're going through, and we're helping them establish, is it LLC, is it sub-S, and to what level? Are there licensing requirements or not? And how do we help you generate and get your business into place and get ready for success until you go through that training program? And then during that training program, a team takes over to best train you. And then post-training, we have another success team that takes that to the next level. How can we rapidly get you in place and get you successful as quickly as possible to meet your goals? So there's lots of different avenues that we're looking for, but ultimately it's the willingness to adopt to a brand, to be part of something that, and rely upon the expertise that's in place, and then also to take the expertise of that franchisee coming on board. It's what we call cooperation, collaboration, or cooperation, cooperating with our franchisees. We can learn from them as much as they can learn from us, and together that journey of franchising becomes very, very successful.
Wonderful. Yeah, we've clearly figured out the team, figured out how to please the client, how to, use a great product and service, and ultimately help save money and water. Russ, thank you so much for being on the call today. Thank you for watching this video presentation on Conserva Irrigation. If you'd like to learn more about franchising and how you can get your visa to come to America, please visit usfranchisevisa.com. And if you'd like to learn more specifically about Conserva Irrigation, Russ, what would be the best way to get some general information?
About our franchising, go to irrigationfranchise.com and check out our standard website, which you can also find that as well, which is conservairrigation.com.
Awesome. Great. Russ, thank you so much.
Thomas, it's a complete pleasure. Keep doing the great work that you're doing. We appreciate you spreading the message of Conserva. Enjoy.